You meditate at dawn, nod wisely in satsang, quote the sutras, and wear the mask of the awakened. Yet behind that performance, your mind ticks like any other, craving, judging, fearing. Are you truly liberated? Or have you simply learned the role of the spiritual guru, perfecting your lines to win applause? This isn't a gentle nudge, it's a full throttle smackdown of your most cherished identity. If you value authenticity over applause, stay with me. True awakening dissolves all roles. Acting awake cements them tighter. Posed posture. You sit cross legged, eyes half closed, face serene on cue. But posture alone doesn't liberate, it trains your ego to look the part. Scripted silence. You pause before speaking, choose words like compassion, presence, non duality. Silence isn't depth unless it arises naturally. Rehearsed quiet is still dialogue with self. Catchphrases over candor. I'm just the student. All is perfect. There is no self. These phrases become your lines, used to deflect real inquiry and avoid uncomfortable truths. Ceremonial uniform robes, mala beads, chanting bowls. Each prop signals your membership in the awakened club. But external symbols don't guarantee internal transformation. Playing the part is easy. Dismantling the actor, that's the real performance. Every time you catch yourself thinking, I'm so mindful, you're cheering for your own performance. True awareness doesn't applaud, it silently observes. The inner critic, as backstage director, that voice praising your practice is still part of the play. I sat perfectly. I didn't react. Each self pat on the back cements the ego's grip rather than loosening it. Feedback loop of vanity. You monitor your woke moments like trophies. Gratitude turns to grandstanding. Look how awakened I am. This loop converts honest reflection into ego fuel, the silence that's still noise. You glorify silence as proof of depth, but if inside you're spinning meaning, this feels so profound. You haven't stripped away chatter, you've just tipsy taped it into a new shape. Breaking the applause habit practice, dropping every judgment, including praise. When you notice a thought of good job, let it pass without comment. The mirror of authenticity reflects only what is, not what you want to admire. Stop living for that inner standing ovation. Real awakening thrives in the quiet void where no one claps. Discovering that you're awake can be the biggest ego trip of all. When your spirituality becomes your brand, you trade freedom for a fancy label, identity as currency. You introduce yourself as a meditator, a yogi, awakened. That label buys respect, but it also cements a persona you must defend at all costs. The comparison game. You measure your progress against others. I've meditated longer. I felt deeper. Each comparison drafts you further into the egoic marketing of your own practice. Fear of unmasking. Beneath every spiritual title lies the terror of being ordinary. You cling to the role to avoid facing your insecurities, trading authenticity for a safe illusion, dismantling the brand refuse all titles, even practitioner. When asked, say, I'm just here, and leave it at that. In that blank response, the trap of identity loses its hook. When you're not someone, you're free to be everything. You chase that warm glow after meditation, the endorphin buzz, the rosy calm, but comfort is the sedative of the soul. True awakening doesn't feel good, it feels real. Heady highs versus raw presence. Those blissful states, they're chemical distractions. Your brain rewards you for good vibes, not for dismantling illusion. Checklist tranquility is a cage gilded with serotonin. Spiritual junk food, guided visualizations, feel good playlists, sweet mantras, they're the candy bars of practice. Consumed mindlessly, they numb your edge rather than sharpen your clarity. The lure of the cloud, post session euphoria convinces you I'm awake. But when the cloud drifts, Your old habits rise like weeds. Awakening lives in the cold ground beneath, not in the fluffy highs above. Embracing discomfort. Real insight cuts like winter wind. Seek practices that unsoil your comfort. Sit in raw silence. Hold space for fear. Let shadows speak before chasing the light. If your practice feels too good, you're probably practicing your addiction to good practice. True awakening doesn't pander to your preferences. Breakdowns, not breakthroughs, contain the seeds of genuine awakening. Only when your world fractures can you glimpse the unconditioned. Emotional meltdown as gateway. When grief, rage, or panic erupt, you drop the mask. In that raw exposure, the actor dissolves and real presence leaks through the cracks. Dark night of the soul, that abyssal emptiness you dread, it's the midwife of transformation. Those days of meaning collapse hollow out every assumption, preparing the space for freedom. Resistance as revelation, your fiercest pushback, aversion to discomfort, clinging to identity, illuminates the very barriers you must dismantle. Resistance is the mirror pointing to your blind spots, forged in fire. Emerging from crisis, you aren't the same performer. The old scripts no longer cue you. Your presence is tempered steel, flexible, alive, unbound by any role. Stop running from collapse. Lean into your own disintegration and watch a new self you never scripted arise from the ashes. You flaunt your insights like medals, quoting sutras to prove you're advanced, but rattling off doctrines is still acting the enlightened part, not living it. Scripted expertise. You trot out bullet point lists of the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, sound bites memorized for impact. But rote recall is not realization. It's the ego's way to look smart. Spiritual name dropping. As Nagarjuna said, in Tibetan Vajrayana, my teacher lineage declares. These references build authority, but they also build a wall between you and direct experience. Insight as armor. Every time you declare, I understand impermanence, you shield yourself from genuine uncertainty. Knowledge becomes a velvet cushion that softens the blow of life's raw edge. Peeling off the mask, test your wisdom by sitting with a question you have no answer to. When your mind scrambles for a quote, notice the mask slipping and welcome the vulnerability beneath. True wisdom isn't a badge you wear, it's the absence of every badge, leaving you raw and unguarded in the face of mystery. Enough theory. If you want to expose every masquerade, you need practices that burn through labels and leave only pure presence. Role reversal dialogue. Pair up and speak entirely in first person from your critic's perspective. I am just an actor. Swap scripts until every defensive story collapses under its own absurdity. Mirror confrontation. Stare into your own eyes for 10 silent minutes. Each time you catch a self judgment or performance thought, lean into it. Watch it flare and vanish until only the blank stare remains. Unscheduled silence. Abandon your ritual times. Instead, sit in silence when life throws a curveball, in traffic, at the office, with family. These unplanned pauses reveal your habitual need to perform on schedule. One word truths. Reduce every reflection to a single word: fear, ego, emptiness. Say it until it exhausts itself and transmutes into quiet. This brutal reduction strips away every narrative cloak. These practices aren't comfy rituals, they're flame tests. Step into them and see which parts of you burn away. When every mask you've worn burns to embers, what remains isn't nothing. It's the raw ember of pure presence, waiting to ignite authenticity. Ashes of the actor. After shedding posture, phrases, and props, you face the charred remains of performance. Those ashes are fertile ground. In their silence, something real can take root. Ember of awareness. Notice the tiny glow beneath the ruins of your egoic self. It's subtle, just the simple knowing of being alive. Fuel this ember with attention and watch it flare into unguarded presence. Rebirth through failure. Each failed practice, each awkward moment unmasked, becomes the kindling for your awakening. Embrace those flops as sacred failures. They're the pyre that forges your true self. Unscripted emergence. Don't plan your next move. In that blank moment, presence bursts forth without rehearsal, without fanfare. This spontaneous arising is the phoenix of presence in full flight. From the ashes of every role you've ever played, your true self arises, untamed, unrehearsed, undeniable. Everyone around you wears a mask, colleagues, friends, strangers scrolling their highlight reels. Your final test isn't solitude, it's living unmasked among them. Dare to be unfiltered. Speak your truth without polishing it. Let your opinions land raw, even if they trigger backlash. Authenticity thrives in the friction of honest connection. Reveal your vulnerabilities. Share your doubts and failures publicly without spin. The world needs real stories more than staged inspirations. Your cracks become doorways for others to step through. Resist role invitations. When someone tries to slot you into teacher, expert, or healer, refuse the label. Respond instead with curiosity. What do you see in me? Let their projection dissolve in the mirror of your openness. Breathe in the world's masks. Observe others' roles without judgment. Feel your own vulnerability in the presence of their facades. In this shared exposure, true human solidarity emerges. To walk unmasked among masks is the revolution of real awakening, where your bare face reflects the world's hidden truth. You imagine freedom as fluffy bliss, but raw, unmasked presence isn't a warm blanket. It's the razor sharp clarity that cuts through every self story. Naked sensation. Without the cushioning of identity, every sensation lands at full force. The rush of wind, the ache in your muscles, the tremor of fear. They're no longer distractions, but your only reality. Fluid boundaries. The line between you and world dissolves. You no longer inhabit a body observing the world. You become the very dance of experience, flowing in and out of every moment. Unfiltered emotion, joy, grief, rage, and ecstasy surge without apology. You don't suppress or amplify them. You let them ravage through you like storms, trusting that the sky beneath remains unmoved. Instantaneous choice. In true freedom, decisions aren't deliberated for hours. They flash into being and collapse into action. There is no you weighing options, only the unbound impulse of presence moving through form. Real freedom tastes of lightning, brilliant, unpredictable, and utterly alive. Unmasking in private is one thing, unmasking in the world is another. These practices force your presence into the glaring spotlight of collective reality. Daylight silence. Spend an entire day without speaking a word in public. Let body language and raw expression carry your message. Observe how your silence unveils both your power and your vulnerability. Public confession circle. In a group setting, confess your deepest self deception, your cleverest role, your proudest mask. No edits, no justifications. Watch as your confession dissolves the power of shame and breeds communal authenticity. Walk without gaze. Stroll through a crowded street without making eye contact, without reacting to social cues. Let the world's judgments wash over you. In that brutal exposure, your unmasked self stands undisturbed. Live stream unedited. Broadcast a raw, unfiltered hour of your daily life. No cuts, no filters. Face the fear of judgment in real time. Notice how your candid presence shatters every polished image others hold of you. Transparency isn't a comfort, it's an unblinking stare into the heart of reality where only raw presence survives. True awakening lives on the razor's edge between exhilaration and terror. Only by leaning willingly into the abyss can you discover presence unshakable by any storm. Welcome the void. Sit at the precipice of uncertainty, no safety net of beliefs. Let the vast emptiness open your heart wider than any reassurance could. Face your own annihilation. In meditation, repeatedly ask, what if I cease to exist? Let that dread wash through you. Each time you survive it, your presence grows stronger than fear itself. Embody the witness of nothingness. Watch thoughts evaporate into the void. You are neither thought nor void. You are the invincible witness that remains when everything else dissolves. Dance on the brink in daily life, approach challenges without retreat, speak difficult truths, expose vulnerabilities, embrace conflicts as invitations to sharpen your fearless presence. The abyss is not your enemy. It's the crucible where ego shatters and pure presence is forged. This is the last invitation. Every role, every comfort, every bridge back to the old self must be set aflame. Will you step into the flames and emerge utterly unrecognizable? Sever the safety lines. Abandon every practice or belief that provides a fallback identity. No retreats, no rituals, only raw, unmediated living. Destroy your testimonials. Delete every social post, every praise, every teaching accolade. Erase the trail of your spiritual achievements. Let your past self vanish without a map home. Live without archives. Throw away journals. Delete recordings. Unburden your mind from the weight of remembered insights. In the blank slate, your being writes its own unrepeatable story. Embrace the unmarked road. Walk forward with no clue where you'll land. Each step is both risk and revelation. If you cling to a plan, you cling to a role. So let plans go up in smoke. Burn the bridge to your old self and discover that the only way through is to become the path itself. You've stripped every mask, faced the void, and burned the bridges to your old self. Now, beyond all methods and miracles, you step into the greatest surprise, unscripted, unclaimed being. Miracle without ceremony. True awakening isn't a ritual or peak state. It's the simple act of noticing life, unannounced and unadorned. No incense, no chanting, just the stark radiance of this unscripted moment. Presence as prayer. Silence becomes your sacred text. Breath, your mantra. In that ordinary devotion, every heartbeat is a hymn, every blink a bow to the mystery beneath form. Freedom in the unplanned. When nothing is rehearsed, every action carries the freshness of true birth. The miracle isn't what you do, it's that you do anything at all with eyes fully open. Gift of the unclaimed self. You are no one's guru, no museum's relic, no echo of history. You emerge as a living question, unclaimed, unbranded, untouchable by any past or future. The unspoken gift of awakening is not a trophy on the shelf. It's the born again astonishment of simply being here now with no script and no audience. This isn't a farewell, it's the last spark to light your own revolution. Take this flame into the gray corridors of everyday life and watch shadows flee. Walk as question, not answer. Carry your unmasked self into every room. Let curiosity, not certainty, guide your steps. In your questions, others will glimpse their own free heart. Reveal the invisible. Speak your unspoken truths, a kindness unadvertised, a vulnerability unvarnished. In your raw honesty, the hidden light in others will ignite. Kindle without consuming. Let your presence warm without scorching. Shine so gently that people feel nourished, not burned. Your flame lives in balance, undying, yet never overwhelming. Stay the wild witness. Watch the world's dramas unfold without losing your edge. Celebrate joy without craving it. Face sorrow without fleeing. In every twist, be the undiminished flame that neither flickers nor fades. Be the miracle no one predicted, a life unmasked, a flame undying. In a shadowed world, your fearless presence becomes the revolution of light.